Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I have been fighting against mediocrity for quite some time, and I believe it is my duty to be here now and warn you about what's going on in the community. Now, this is the kind of team that you should be striving to build. You should be aiming at something like this because this is efficient. This is what you see in the top 100. This is well trained. It has players with low percentage in positions that are not relevant. Now, what happens in the community lately is that there are a lot of tournaments, and because many managers cannot build negative players, and then train other players at a higher percentage, they are adding a minimum rule. And this is what they're getting. If you see my bench, you see all my best players there, and my pitch is like with nonsense. And if you go to more amateur kind of tournaments, you see something like this. You see almost every single player of mine is in the bench. And I mean, the efficiency of this is nothing. You cannot even compete against the first team that I show you. This is not something that the top 100 is doing. This is not something that the pro managers are doing. If you go 114%, well, what happens at 114%? You still don't have enough margin to raise the percentage of the team, so you end up still using 3 players at 40%, 3, and then many other players are just not with 8 stars. This is ideal. Now, this is something that I'm been competing. I have 3 competitions. No way, I have 4 competitions where I'm using a setup that is similar to this. One negative player at 71%, and the others, you can see it allows me to have A stars players, which is the thing that makes me win. And here's where I go. If you want to build, if you want to add a minimum rule of 40%, you should be doing that at a higher percentage, because otherwise people are going to have to sacrifice great players. And this is the right way. I wanted to show you that real quick. This is my team. I don't have negative players here. This is what I use to compete mostly in associations. Could I be more efficient if I saw my MC? Yes. Eventually I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna change this whole thing and I'm gonna go for the top 100, like 100%. But just gonna show you that. Now, negative players. There are 2 kind of negative players. Negative mutant players, which are trained negative players, like for example this one. This is well trained, even though it has negative 55. You see that? This is gonna become a negative mutant player when I lose 20% with the promotion next season. This is the problem with negative mutant players, that they are not highly negative. You see, at 30 years old it's only 71, whereas this has 32% already at 23, but on the counterpart, this one doesn't have very high white stat attributes. But still, now, we're gonna see how all this theory, this mumbo jumbo, is gonna play off in a game. Now, I'm using Kruger, which is negative 73, is a negative player, but my opponent is not using any of that. My opponent is lowering percentage in another way, and this does not allow him to have very high 8-star players in the pitch. You know, I have more than him, I have more training than him, I have more efficiency, and his defender, his midfielders just cannot compete with that quality, with that high percentage. And so this happens, you know. This guy is this is a very interesting example, because this guy has a very strong team. And I don't say that lightly, because you hear me, you know, in my last video I said that too, but I really do compete with managers that are amazing, and this one is just, I mean, you're gonna see at the end, you have to see those players. And the reason why I show you this is because I want to point out that this guy could probably beat many of my subscribers, but because this guy is competing with me, which I'm using a negative player, and again, in this game in particular, I had an injury, so I was using 10 players because I couldn't replace that one. And even then, I was able to defeat him. You get the point? So this is a very powerful strategy to be more efficient in the game. Now please, let's just quickly scroll through all of that. Of course, he's using the sponsor, of course. Very competitive. Watch his players. I mean, this is insane. We're talking 300%. I shouldn't be able to move so easily, to do the things that I do, but the reason I do it is because I have more efficiency. When I use a negative player, I can put that percentage, extra percentage, say negative 73 from my DC, from my DR, whatever it is, and I can put that in a striker, I can put that in a goalkeeper, I can put that in a winger, and that gives me the win. That gives me efficiency. Now, here we have another game. This guy is just for you to understand the power of a negative player. This guy is using 124%, but because of this player, because of this one player, this is probably like 100 and 100 negative. But because of that, he can use all of these amazing players. 162, that goes one. 152%, two. 179%. Look at those stats. He's using all of those players in a limit of 124, 162. This is insane. I mean, this is what I'm trying to tell you. You can build more efficient teams if you use negative players. But what I see in the community lately is like everyone is so caught up in not giving advantage to the best managers or making it fair for everybody, that now they are going to do something very silly. They're gonna ruin everything, because progress is this. This is where you should be aiming. You should be going to this path, not to make very awful teams that are not competitive. And you will be put against a manager like him, for example, and you're not gonna be able to do anything. This guy is gonna totally destroy you because you're building teams that just cannot even compete with this guy. And I'm telling you this right now, this is not for me to win. This is not, oh, I have negative players, I will be interested if the tournaments were like this. I'm telling you, the community needs to be more competitive and it needs to embrace this kind of power. And this is very, very efficient kind of building.